welcome back in for day 8 of the Meeples Champion. So we've gone over quite a few different games right now, but I think most of them are pretty well known. If you're a gamer, you tend to know games like The Crew or games like Isle of Cats because they're popular. Again, even if it's short term, they're pretty well known. But as many of us know, core gamers go to Kickstarter. There are many Kickstarters that they may have had a pretty good release, but they never end up getting into stores. They never really end up getting into the mainstream. So it's kind of the big gamers collections that you run into these particular games and you get a chance to get to know them. And in my case, I'm going to bring one out. It was one of the very first Kickstarters I ever played. That is Progress, Evolution of Technology. Now, I backed this game, I want to say, somewhere around 2015, maybe 2014, and I love this game. Now, the idea of the game is it's completely card-driven. The boards are, much like I was complaining with the new Azul, they're a little bit flimsy, but I've had this for almost 8 years, 9 years, it's never torn. No complaint. The idea of a board is that this is actually a tech tree. The entire game works in a tech tree type atmosphere. The difference is that they went and they looked at games that had tech trees and they said, there's a lot going on here. How can we get away from all the extra that makes these games take 3-4 hours and you feel like you have to track 20-30 things and get it down to the fun? And they went, well, let's just keep the tech tree and get rid of everything else. So in this game, your main board is where the decks get stored. Each of you has your own board. These track, when you start the game off, hand size, how many cards you can draw, a quick draw, a shuffle draw, how many times that you can basically put a card in for being created so you don't have to pay its cost, and it'll be ready in, 5 turns, 4 turns, 3 turns. There's a lot of opportunities with this. As you improve on this part of the tech tree, each of these also come with victory points on the boards. Great. Then you have your symbols. You can be improving the royalty, the army, or the castle. And when you get to the end of the game, depending on total player count, there's a lot of different payouts here. If you're playing a 5-player game, first place on your royalty is getting 10, 5th is getting nothing. First place is getting 11 on your castle. It's getting 12 on your army, but nothing in your 5th place positions. Now, you're only getting about 4 to 5 points more than second place. So these aren't, something to die on. These are not the thing you're going all out after. But the idea of this is another piece of the game that alongside this allows you to get some points. But the biggest aspect of the game, as I mentioned since the start, are the cards. Now, the cards are based on ages. You get an entire deck. These decks come with loads of different opportunities for the cards to be made. And the cards are pretty straightforward. They will have, up in the right-hand corner, abilities that come with the card. So in this one's case, if you make the card, you're going to get a wild card token that every time it's your round, not a turn, but a round, you can use that token one time and it can help pay for a card. It's also going to be worth 1 victory point. The card itself is worth 1 for payment on another card. And then the card requires 5. Now the 5 is specifically as the gears, meaning another card that has this, it's a wild. If you get the wild in the corner, that's an extra wild. So this could be that the card and the wild token, it's worth 2 for anything. But if you end up earning yourself outside of the wild card tokens, the gear tokens, they can be used for specific cards, as well as what the card you have for a predecessor. So in this case, to make bridges, if you already had masonry, bridges is just free. And you're going to get lots of these going through this. You only have so many of each card, and nobody can make the same one twice. So as you make a card, somebody else knows, oh, well, we're playing 5-player, there's only 3 of this card in a 5-player version. As they disappear, it starts to get tougher for other players to get to make something. They might have to invest paying a lot more instead of hoping to tech tree it up and be able to say, well, I made masonry, so now bridges is easily placed and it's free, and get through your turn that way. There are also cards here that are going to have a symbol for the next age. So as you finish up age 1's cards, and you get a card somebody activates, it says, oh, age 2. Now age 1 is out, age 2 hits the side of the board. Once age 2 is activated age 3, age 1 is wiped out and replaced by age 3. And once age 3 activates age 4, it wipes out age 2, age 4 takes its place. Once age 4 ages out, game is over. Now, a lot of these cards come with victory points as well as this and as well as this. So it's really a trifecta of an attack that you're trying to keep track of everything you're doing. And trying not to get too bogged down on specifically, okay, I really want to get the tech tree going. Well, the tech tree is a great idea. It makes things cheap. Unless you've done it to the point where now you've hindered yourself from actual victory points. You're so concentrated on getting the tech tree that you don't realize, hey, 7 cards that you made along the way were useless. They didn't do anything. They didn't help you win any points here. They didn't help you win any points here. And what they did do was gave your opponents the opportunity to go in there and make easy cards worth a point here or 2 points there. And all of a sudden, even though you did a pretty good game with those, you cost yourself and you end up losing in a close battle, or you could get just destroyed if somebody's really keeping tight. Now, when it comes down to the basics, the uniqueness, I do find this game very unique. There's no other game that has this level of, essentially, I guess the way to look at it is this tech tree being by itself. There are other games with tech trees, but being a solo tech tree based game that's to me very unique. I also think that the design is pretty nice. Again, I've had this 8 years. The cards have held up well. The quality of the components is pretty good. And I think that they're not amazing. I like the design of this game. It's not a 5 out of 5, but it's a solid 3, maybe even a 4. It's definitely something that you can enjoy. You know, when you're talking about teaching it to somebody and the way to win, easily taught. I don't know anybody that I've sat down with that, whether they're an expert gamer, occasional gamer, or never really games, they sit down and they understand this game within 1 or 2 turns. That is not hard to teach. And as far as the ways to win, as I already mentioned, there's a lot of different ways to approach this. All of them have a winning factor. You have to know who you're up against, know how they're playing, being able to track where the cards are going and how they're disappearing from your opportunity, but they give you lots of roads to win. And that's a big plus to me. Now, the unfortunate part is this game is not easy to find anymore. And if you do find it, my guess would be you're looking at 60 plus. You know, $60 for this game is okay. I don't think it's a big deal. I do think they made a lot of extra components for this that were kind of unneeded. You know, I didn't need to have all of these little blocks that represent when you earn something. I think they could have easily just left those on the cards and had some kind of way to track it there. I didn't need to have all these victory points. You're getting it to represent the victory point, but it's on the card, unneeded. I think that they bogged this game down a little bit with extra pieces, and that had they decided to not do that, they could have had this not only be less pieces, but also potentially had gotten this in a smaller box. You could have gotten this out for probably $40 per game and still had the same profit line. I don't think that they were being greedy. I think it was just early in Kickstarter. They were excited, they had a lot of ideas, and they took a shot on it. The game didn't do well enough to become a game that you see at a Target or that you find at a board game store or you even see online. I've seen at PAX East maybe once or twice out of the 7 years I've gone, I've seen this game on the used shelf looking to be sold, never as a new copy. So it's okay. I mean, they succeeded, they got their goal, but it definitely, to me, did not run away with what it was doing. I would definitely recommend, if you come across it and you're interested in gaming, this is a great game to grab. And if you find it at a deal, don't even question it. Pick it up immediately. But overall, I would say that this is something I would recommend to everybody. I think it's a fun play, and I think people of all ages and all levels of game experience will enjoy this. Maybe, you know, under the age of 10 might be a little outside their realm, but that's okay. Until tomorrow, this is the Meeples Champion, and I've been recommending to you progress, evolution of technology. See you tomorrow.